చాలా రోజుల తర్వాత వచ్చినట్టున్నావు. Can you guys see the screen? Screen, all of you. Yes, no, yes, no. Okay, so how was this mock for you? For how many of you this was your first mock? Okay, so how was it for you? And say loudly, yeah. Chichi alaka score enta anna undu. 14, 12, 12. Okay, what's your percentile? Okay, what was the 95 percentile?
85 is 90%.
85 is 19, huh? Oh, was this mock that hard for all of you? Or did you put... Okay, what was your score? 6. 3. Ni percent? Good clear. Percentile? Actually, అలాంటివి మనం పట్టించుకుంటారా? Alright. See, in this particular mock, I would have, on the first skim, I would have definitely gone for VA first and then RC. I would not have gone for RC first and then VA because VA questions were easier, except for one para summary and one para jumble. The rest of the 6 VA questions were pretty doable. At least that's what I felt. Again, it may widely differ from what you are thinking. Let me just show you which question I was talking about. These are all passages, I think from 19 it begins, no, for us. Yeah, so this was a doable question in the para summaries. I hope all of you understand that. Yes, 19th question. This was a doable question in para jumbles. Yes, para jumbles in ID. Yes, para jumbles. This was a science-based thing, no? So to me, in my familiarity, science becomes very, very familiar. And I hope the same for most of you, because you've done elementary science in your school, and some of you even have professional degrees in science. So I do not assume that you will leave this out. And it was a process-based thing. It's a descriptive arts, type of thing, parajumble. So I don't think there should be much of a issue in solving this. Again, when we are coming here, this one para summary that I would not want you guys to attempt. If you have not understood this very clearly, I don't know how many of you attempted this. All of you first open your mocks. అరే నువ్వు క్లాస్కి వస్తున్నావా అప్పుడప్పుడా? ఓకే, నా క్లాస్కి ఎప్పుడు రావట్లేదు కదా, వచ్చావా? Please open your mocks. First, see which questions you have attempted, which you have not. See, mock discussion mundu meer mee mock analysis అయిపోవాలి. Those of you who started writing your mocks today understand that mock discussion is not a comprehensive discussion of all the questions in that mock. It is where you get doubts. We go back to that, do it as a class and see the opinions of other people. Okay, understand where others are also going wrong and tell which part is correct and which part is not. Serena, in 1.5 hour class, we won't be able to discuss 26 questions. So open your mock, see if you have given this answer, if you have gotten it correct. As far as I know, most of you must have gotten this a little weirdly wrong. Yes? How many of you gave this answer? Okay, only you gave this answer. The rest of you skipped this question. Good. That's a good strategy. Okay. Now here, sorry by the way, This again a para jumble. This was an easy para jumble again. So this was a doable para jumble. It's not easy per se. It's a doable para jumble at least. How many of you gave answer to this? Right, how many of you got it correct? Good, good. See, you have to. Ma? 21st is this one. Okay, good. No, see, my point is, unless you understand it clearly, I would not want you to attempt it. Okay, see, some people might get this right. But that is because of your reading habit. You've been reading for long enough, or you've been exposed to certain kind of English. Okay, but unless you are, do not attempt things that you don't understand completely. No one in CAT exam is asking you to attempt all the 26 questions of your verbal paper. What is the ideal number of questions? I've already told you. Go as high as 18 to 20 questions. My suggestion is do not cross a threshold. Be sure of at least 16 to 18 questions in those 20. Okay, 20 questions in 40 minutes is a doable thing. 2 minutes per question, Chipana. Yes, 26 is pushing that limit. Unless you're very, very good at reading, as in you're very fast at reading, and once you read, you understand things, do not push yourself to go for 26 questions. Okay, you're not going to get any benefit by going and attempting all the questions there are. Choose which questions are right for you and attempt those things. Correct. So, where was I? Yes, this was a doable set again, right? This was about the goods and how the goods were, classified as moral, legitimate or not. Yes. Now, apart from this, what else was there in this? Now again, this was about how the workforce and women inclusion and all was happening. An odd man out. This was doable odd man out. You could easily frame the, other 4 sentences ka para. Yes. How many of you attempted this? Good. Okay. How many of you got it correct? Good. Nice. So the ratio of attempts to correct was higher over here. Nice. Yes, coming to this again, this was one other para jumble that was doable. It was little, tricky to put along, but it was doable. Not very hard to go about with. Yes, again, this was also something that you could do, provided you understand the context enough. This is not something that's very direct, but it's okay-ish. If you understood the context, you could do this. Yes. So here in this one, you can very easily complete this para summary. Right? I think this is the last one. Lot of options here are going off eliminated as partial scope choices. That means not enough ideas are being included in the options. So this one also was easy enough to eliminate and put your answer. If not directly, you could eliminate and get your answer. So let's start from here. Let's start from the verbal ability, go behind. Can you answer this question? How many of you gave the answer to this question in your mock? Yes. How long did you take? Was it easy for you to solve? Yes. The rest of you, come on, start. You gave the mock, Krishna? Yes. How much did you get? 3. Yes. Are we done? Did you guys have a look at it? So what's he talking about here? He's saying that in India, we need, and please we'll take a look at that word. He's giving you an argument over here. He's not describing anything. Okay. So when you're doing any kind of a reading, you always classify it into writing style, tone, what's the main idea and everything, especially para summary. What was our approach? A, B, C, right? So for accuracy, we need to understand all the tone and the ideas together. So in India, we need profound systemic changes in our method of education. Currently, the system pigeonholes individuals into a narrow range of disciplines. What is pigeonholing people? Putting them into a very restricted box. Okay, have you seen pigeonholes where pigeons stay? Yes, it's a very restricted space for them. So pigeonholing people or pigeonholing individuals is the same thing. And straight jackets them into rigid career tracks. So even if you don't understand the idioms, you would broadly understand that they're being put into something that's not very flexible. Given the overwhelming emphasis on grades, creativity and independent thinking end up taking a backseat. That means because grades are being focused on more, creativity and independent thinking is not being given such an emphasis. So how can we expect the spirit again? This adds up to the argument. So when that question begins again, so how can we expect? Okay, he's trying to say about the argument's continuation. How can we expect the spirit of curiosity and inquiry to develop under such a pressure cooker? The need of the hour is an education system that fosters explanation, questioning, and debate. Okay, so now he's given us a solution to that argument that he's put forward. What is the need of the hour also? The objective should be to create citizens who have the ability to think laterally. What is thinking laterally? Huh? No. Laterally is parallelly on multiple topics. Multidisciplinary education in such a way. It's not that they're focused on one thing only. They should be able to be focused on more than one thing. They should be able to understand more than one thing. Okay, students who are equipped to step out into the real world and become thought leaders rather than products of a machine that churns out yet another commodity. Okay, I think it's pretty simple to understand the last line, correct? So if we look at the first statement A, the present made-to-order education system in India needs to be replaced by a market-oriented. Again, these words are too broad for us to assume the meanings that are given in the paragraph. So we cannot take A to be the correct answer. What is it going to be? An out of scope answer. Okay. B, the education system in India needs a to be completely overhauled. He did not say that. He said what parts we should change. Correct. So this becomes an extreme answer. Completely. The moment you see the word completely, it's an all or none statement. No. So it becomes an extreme answer. The education system in India needs to incorporate changes to meet challenges of the new economy. Although he is right that we need to incorporate challenges, the purpose is being stated wrongly. It is not to meet the new economic conditions, but rather to develop or what we need to develop. What is that? Exploration, questioning, and debate as a standard procedure in our education. So in the last one, instead of having narrow and stereotyped focus, which is the same as pigeonholing, and is actually given the word also, the narrow range of disciplines. Okay. Right. India needs to change from the product to process of stimulation. That stimulation is nothing but fostering exploration, questioning, and debate part. That's the stimulation that he's talked about. So D should be our correct answer, which has most of the ideas that are possible, and it does not go beyond the scope of what's been given. Are we getting the answer? Yes. Is it clear? So now tell me how many of you are actually applying partial scope, out of scope, these things when you are doing these questions. Because see, many of you have come to me in the last 1 week telling me that 2 options are being eliminated, 2 are not being eliminated. Are you doing it the same way? If yes, are you eliminating options based on the same logic? How many of you realize that this statement of completely is an extreme answer. You are able to realize these, no? So if you do this consciously, most of your answers will be correct. Despite you doing this, if you're not getting an answer, then leave it. Okay, but get better at this process. If you're doing this process thoroughly, at least 16 to 18 answers you will get correctly. It depends on your familiarity with topics, your skill in reading and all of that too. Sorry, okay. So let's go to this question. Yes, please start.
Sir, why we are not doing RCs today, sir? Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, why we are not doing RCs today, sir?
There's no reason for not doing RCs. I asked how many people have done RCs and how many people have done VA. VA in this paper, you should be attempting. So I started with VA. How many of you want to do RCs? I don't see any hand raised over here.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Are you guys scoring more in RCs or in VA? VA? Then why not doing RCs? Let's do RCs, no? What do you guys say? How many of you guys online want RCs? Guys, can you raise your hand or maybe say yes, no, whatever?
Anything is fine, sir.
What do you guys want? RCs, VA, what? Which section do you want discussed? VA, RC, RC, RC. Array, state left enter. How many of you say RCs? Raise your hand. Okay, cool. So how many of you have, see, this was about mesmer and hypnotism. It's a humanities RC. How many of you have given this? Wait, not the question, the RC. How many of you have attempted this RC? Oh wow, none of you have attempted this RC. You have attempted this RC. No. Okay. Fine. Go on ahead. I think this has what? Yeah. Start. Are we done? Yes. Easy enough, the passage is. Are you getting that you've not read this? Okay. See, because the reason I'm telling you that, this passage is easy, there are no words that would confuse you. Usually in philosophy and humanities, we expect some genre to come up, which is not present in this passage at all. It's a very straightforward passage. Okay. In fact, if you have heard of that word, mesmerized by something, okay, आश्चर्यचकित हो जाना किसी चीज से, that came out of this guy's name only, Mesmer. Okay. Unfortunately, most of the psychologists have named themselves or named the diseases after themselves. But this guy is different. This guy is given a beautiful phenomenon. In fact, magnetism and all, he used to use magnetism to change the orientation of small dipoles in your brain, make you feel lighter. That's how he got that name, that you mesmerized me. Anyways, that's all useless information to you. Let's go to the passage. So far, the history of hypnotism has given us two manifestations or methods. He's already explained to you what manifestation over there means. Okay. That of passes and playing upon the imagination in various ways used by Mesmer, and that of physical means, such as by looking at bright objects used by brain. Both of these methods are still in use, and through though hundreds of scientific men, including many physicians, have studied the subject for years, no essentially new principle has been discovered, though the details of hypnotic operation have been thoroughly classified and many minor elements of interest have been developed. Can someone summarize what has happened so far? The two people, the two methods of hypnotism. Yes, although a lot of people have tried to understand or discover a new method, they could not succeed in it. Yes, so far that's what's happened. Kada? All of you understood this, no? You can tell no when I'm asking. Okay. All these make a body of evidence which will assist us in answering the question, what is hypnotism? So first paragraph, I can understand, is asking us the question, what is hypnotism? And trying to explain that particular phenomenon. Yes? So what kind of passage should I assume this is? Huh? Yes, it will be a descriptive passage. So far, that's what we can understand from it. Yes, good, have confidence, tell it out, it's okay. Modern scientific study has pretty conclusively established the following facts. Idiots, babies under 3 years old, and hopelessly insane people cannot be hypnotized. Concentration of attention, no one can be hypnotized unless the operator can make him concentrate his attention for reasonable length of time. And concentration of attention, whatever the method of producing hypnotism, is absolutely necessary. Persons not easily hypnotized are those said to be neurotic or those affected by hysteria. Now, he's going forward and explaining us what hysteria would actually mean. By hysteria is not meant nervous excitability necessarily. Some very phlegmatic persons may be affected with hysteria. Now, for understanding this, there's a small context that you should know. The Greeks were the first people to divide persons into personality types depended on what was there in their body. Phlegmatic people means people who are more in sorrow. Okay. People who are apathetically presentable. Someone who does not feel joy so easily. Okay. So the classification went on with 4 things: black bile, yellow bile, phlegm, and blood. Those who had too much blood had too much passion. That is why we associate burning blood with passion as an metaphor. Have you come across that? Yes. So similarly, this also phlegmatic people are people who are not very joyous. Okay. Some very phlegmatic persons may be affected by hysteria. In medical science, hysteria is an irregular action of the nervous system. It will sometimes show itself by severe pains in the arms. So it's just going on describing what hysteria is, nothing else. The symptoms and the presentations of hysteria, for that matter. And then he comes its tendency to nervous disease, which in severe cases may lead to insanity. The word neurotic is swelling on the head sorry, is a general term covering affection of the nervous system. It includes hysteria and much else besides. So basically what he's saying, neurotic is a big term which engulfs hysteria, and hysteria presents in this particular manner. The expert hypnotizer often tries to rummage through the human mind, looking for small pieces of evidence that might link turbulence today to occurrences forgotten. On the question as to whether anyone can produce hypnotism by pursuing the right methods, there's some disagreement, although not much. Dr. Ernst Hart, in an article in the British Medical Journal, makes the following very definitive statement, representing the side of the case that maintains anyone can produce hypnotism. So again, he's asking, can anyone do hypnotism if they follow the right method? There are contradicting views, or there are disagreeing views. One person says what, who is that person? Ernst Hart, he's saying like this. What's he saying? It's a common delusion that the mesmerist or hypnotizer counts for anything in the experiment. The operator, whether priest, physician, charlatan, self-deluded enthusiast, or a conscious imposter, is not the source of any occult influence. Occult, is that word new? For how many of you that word is new? Okay, occult is supernatural, usually negative in tone. So we can take demonic. Okay, depends on which context you're saying. Oculus is also a noun. Okay, so oculus as an adjective would mean something demonic. Okay, something supernatural.
Does it not mean that something which can show you what
It could be. Again, if you're taking it in the root form, where C, oc, is the root. Same way occipital comes, no? The root of the eye, occipital. So that's why I'm saying, in this context, the occult would be supernatural. If you watch movies like The Conjuring or Oja or anything, you would have come across this word. Or if you've read about any ghosts or supernatural articles. Okay. So what does he say? Basically, who is doing the hypnotism does not really matter. It does not matter to us who is doing it. Where are we? Yes, does not possess any mysterious power and plays only a secondary and insignificant part in the chain of phenomenon observed. There exist at the present time many individuals who claim for themselves and even who make a living by doing so, a peculiar property or power as potent mesmerizers, hypnotizers, magnetizers, or electrobiologists. One even often hears it said in society, for I'm sorry to say that these mischievous practices and pranks are sometimes made a society game. So can I say that Dr. Ernst Hart believes that people can do hypnotism or not? Yes, no. He believes that not everyone can do hypnotism. Okay. Why? Because he's saying, no, there are a lot of people who are going on by making a routine, making a living like this. But they're not actually the ones who have any role to do or any role to play in the process of hypnosis themselves. Are you getting my point? Yes. It is like that substitute player in your cricket team. He sits there, but he'll get the credit. Okay, he's making a living out of it. But does he really know how much to play or enough to play in the actual team? Probably not. Okay. Where are we here? Okay, that such a person is clever hypnotist or great. Or here, okay. I hope to be able to prove what I firmly hold, both from my personal experience and experiment, that there's no such a thing as a potent mesmeric influencer. From this line, I think what I just explained becomes very, very clear. Okay. No such power resident in any one person more than the other, that a glass of water, a tree, a stick, or a limelight can mesmerize as effectually as can an individual. That means మీకు ఎమోచి ఈ మనిషి అంత ఎమోచి మీకు మెస్మరైజ్ చేస్తాడో ఆ చెట్టు అంత మెస్మరైజ్ చేస్తుంది आपको जितना ये आदमी मेस्मराइज करता है उतना ही वो क्या पेड़ भी मेस्मराइज कर लेगा. So there's no difference in this person's opinion about a person or the capability that a person holds or any other object holds to mesmerize you or hypnotize you for that matter. A clever hypnotizer means only a person who's acquainted with the physical or mental tricks by which the hypnotic condition is produced. Okay, just someone who knows the process of it, or sometimes an unconscious imposter who's unaware of the very trifling part for which he is cast in the play, and who supposes himself really to possess a mysterious power, which in fact he does not possess at all. So to or which, to speak more accurately, is equally possessed by every stock or stone. Now, when we say every stock or stone, it means anybody on the world. Okay. Yes. So what do I understand? Is mesmerism real according to this passage? Yes, no. Pranav, very confused look you give me. Abhishek, yes, mesmerism is real. But can any random person do mesmerism? No. Not every Tom, Dick, and Harry can do mesmerism. That's what he is talking about. Yes. So now tell me, is this descriptive or argumentative? It's argumentative. Okay. Anyone else? This is still descriptive only. He has not made the argument that, so many people cannot do or anything. He just described who, in his opinion, can do this particular phenomenon. Okay.
But like just in case we are putting like what he thinks, what he has done because he's putting it forward. So
No. I'm not saying that in his research he did not argue. I'm saying in this particular article, he's not arguing for that side. We are just describing his research here. We are describing his views. We're not saying he's saying this and he's not saying this. Yes. Why did we get the Dr. Ern person? Because there was a question about disagreements. Then we said, okay, this person's point of view is like this. Okay. So this is a descriptive passage which talks about, first of all, describing what or who started hypnotism or whatever mesmerism it is. What are the two approaches that are there, Braid's approach and Mesmer's approach. And then going forward, we discussed about what exactly is hypnotism, what is neurotic behavior. Then we went forward and told the conditions where people can be hypnotized, cannot be hypnotized. Then we told, because there are disagreements about whether people can hypnotize or not, let's look at what one person is saying. Got it? Did you all get the structure of the paragraph? Okay. Sare. Chapandi. Oh, you've done
Option
this.
D, sir.
Okay. Have you done this before, Chakradhar?
No, sir. Just now I done, sir, and I regret why I have not done this passage in the exam.
That's what I told. No, because see, a lot of people they look at the size of this passage and they leave it. But there's not one word that you could not understand in this passage. It's a very simple passage.
And I got all of them correct, sir.
Good,
Now I have
good.
done all of them correct.
Very good. Chakradhar got all of them correct, it seems. ఇప్పుడు చేసి ప్యాసేజ్ అక్కడ ఎందుకు చేయలేదా అని రిగ్రెట్ అవుతున్నాను. It's okay, Chakradhar. Don't cry too much. Next month, better luck.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, you did this.
sure.
Now you've done it or before? Prove that. Work on that. Please mark your time here. How much time are you taking per question? If you really understood the passage, 30 seconds or less should be your time per question. How many of you are done? Done? Yes. Right. So what's he saying? It can be inferred from the passage that hypnotism is effective in each of the following cases, except. Now, can I say this is not an inference-based question, but a specific detailed question directly? Yes. Okay. And where do I get it from? This part only, these 4 points. So very clearly, I can say that D, people who cannot concentrate even for a short while, in them, hypnotism won't be effective. Specifically, which part is it? this part. Unless they can concentrate on a long time, no one can make you hypnotized. That's what I'm looking at and I'm answering this. Yes, easy question. 10 seconds can తక్కువైనా పడుతుంది దీనికి. Okay. Okay. Yes. Time. Yes. Done? How many of you done? How many of you took less than 30 seconds to solve the question? Yes, no? Yes? Your answers? C? All of you getting C? Now, what are the first options that you would eliminate? Immediately, by looking at the options, which one do you eliminate? Can I eliminate D immediately, first of all? Yes? Good. Now, are you getting stuck between any two options in this case? Ideally, in this question, you should not get stuck between any two options. Okay. If you're looking at it, where is the unconscious imposter part coming? In the last paragraph. Okay. Last paragraph, I think 4 to 5 lines above. Yeah, last but second line. An unconscious imposter who is unaware of the very trifling part. Okay. So a hypnotist tends to deceive the subject who is meant to be hypnotized. Now, is he trying to say that? No, that's not what we are looking in that context. An untrained hypnotic who acts in lieu of a trained hypnotic can also induce hypnotism on neurotics. We've seen that neurotics cannot be hypnotized very easily. So it becomes an opposite answer altogether or inconsistent answer, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Now see, a hypnotic is bereft. Bereft means deprived. Okay. He does not have enough resources that way. Is bereft of any special knowledge or expertise that qualifies him any more than a novice, which is the same as the main idea of the passage. Correct. So we'll go with C. What about D? There's hardly any difference between subject to undergo a hypnosis or the one who is to induce the same. Now, although that might be logically true, that any person is the same, okay, that means there's no special thing about hypnosis and not. That's not a comment that we're making on the unconscious imposter. Okay, that becomes a very general comment, so an out of scope option. Cool. So your answer should be C. Are we getting this? Okay. Yeah. Please check your times. Start doing this. 30 seconds at the max.
C, sir.
Okay, Chakradhar. Done? Less than 30 seconds. So now you're getting the hang of how to get through a passage. Yes. Please make sure you can take 6 to 7 minutes to read the passage. You're not reading it again. See, I did not exactly remember which line that unconscious imposter thing was in the last question. Yes. But I remember it's in the last paragraph what the paragraph summary was. That is more than enough for me to connect it to the main idea and give my answer. Yes, I've shown, entarayali annadi. So don't write more. Try to remember one line, just the idea from that particular paragraph. Okay. And please make sure that you're remembering the structure. Okay, maybe argument came here, a supporting argument was given here. Like that, the structure should be in your mind. So that even if there's an inference-based passage, you can immediately go back to that particular part, spend 10 to 12 seconds looking at where that particular thing is, immediately answer. Okay. On the overall, your passage should not take more than 8 minutes. Okay, at the max. With that logic, you can do 3 passages comfortably in 25 minutes or less and go forward for your VA section. I want you guys to, experiment a little bit more with para-jumbles. Because, see, this is a common feedback that I am getting. In the class, when you are telling me the para-jumble is coming, when I'm doing it by myself, I'm not getting the para-jumble. I find it a little weird to hear that. We are doing it with the same rules that I taught you in the class, nor am I changing any rules of the game. We're doing it with the same rules. Yes. మరి అలాంటప్పుడు మీరు అదే రూల్స్ అప్లై చేస్తున్నారా చేస్తున్నప్పుడు అన్నది మీరు చూసుకోవాలి. You'll have to see if you are also applying the same rules when you are solving it. If you're not following the same approach as me, there's no point in you asking me that doubt. Because I will tell you using my rules only. Kada? And if using my rules, I'm getting the answer and you're not getting the answer, that means either the rule is not very valid or that we don't understand enough of that sentence. You just have to pinpoint where that mistake is and rectify it by the next 2 marks. By mark 12, that should go away. That should be a target. Okay. Yes. So what's the question? Which of the following options is similar to the work of a capable hypnotist as described in the passage? What does a capable hypnotist do? Same as an incapable hypnotist.
Sail through the mind of a human to connect the pieces about the past and
No, I get it. I get where you're getting the definition from. So he's giving the definition that's in the particular passage, that they sail through the minds of pieces to connect the past and the present and the occurrences part, basically. Yes, is that what you're saying?
yes sir, yes sir.
Are you talking about this part only? From here to here, if I'm not wrong?
Yes sir, yes sir.
Yeah. Okay, I got what you're saying. Cool. So, an expert surveyor doing field work for a new project, gardener toiling ante working on it. Okay, gardener toiling in his garden for new saplings, archaeologist excavating deeply for findings related to the past, an artist modifying his work. Now, out of these 4, the only option that is similar to what we can see from the passage is that you're exploring a little deeper into the mind of a person. Same way an archaeologist is excavating a little deeper. So that's the parallel we have to draw. The rest all is working. Okay, a person working in their job. But there's no parallel connection for us. Yes? Okay. Last question. Thandaru chesandi. Easy question. Think you get the answer from first paragraph? Done? Yes. From first paragraph, we get this answer. The moment he says historical approaches of mesmerism, we see the first ones. Yes. In that, one is about imagination, the second one is physical means. So naturally, one will be involving mind games, and second one, physical substances. Specific detail question directly. क्या हुआ गलत किया क्या?
मैंने actually देखा है कि शायद वो सही आंसर।
क्या?
So मतलब I have take option C.
But we don't use hysteria, no? Hysteria people we cannot hypnotize is what they've said, right? So, okay, okay, so amongst the imaginative ways, which one fits the healing touch? The physical means part, no? The second part is physical means. How is a healing touch a physical means? Touch antava. No, when you have something that's very, very straight away saying physical substances, why would I venture into touch being a physical, I can't even say component, maybe physical component. No, that will be a very partial. So actually, it's not even a partial scope. It's an inconsistent answer only. Electronic pulses గురించి మనం ఎక్కడ మాట్లాడనే లేదు కదా. So, I mean, I thought you are talking about physical touch being electronic pulses. Physical substance కింద ఇంకా అనుకోవచ్చు దాన్ని. But no. All right. So, which other passage are you guys confused with out of the rest three? How many of you attempted third passage? What? Okay.
Sir.
Did you guys attempt verbal ability a lot?
I attempted,
Yes.
sir.
Okay. You attempted third here. Like only two people attempted third passage. Chakradhar. What happened? Why did you leave the third passage? It was short only, no? See this passage only, right? I'm talking about. This one. This is a short passage, right? How many of you have done this? You have done this? Okay. Did you get this correct? Yes, no, yes, no. No. How many of you want to do this passage? Or should we go to the first passage? That's a longer passage.
Sir, second one, sir.
Yeah, social media. What Chakradhar?
Second one, sir. Second one, sir.
Second passage. How many of you have done the second passage? How many of you have doubts in the second passage? I'll just show you the second passage quickly. This this is the second passage. How many of you have done this? How many of you have doubts in this? Have you all done this? No? No, చేయలేదు. How many of you have not done this? Raise your hands. Okay, good enough. Go on. Let's start with this. Think this should not take more than 3 to 3.5 minutes to read. But okay, go on. Everyone reading this? Yes. So what's he saying? Whichever way one looks at it, the fact remains that real estate has been most profitable investment in India over the last 30 years. It's been consistently the most lucrative business. Lucrative means, huh? Okay, you can take profitable in this, but easy. Okay. The moment you see the word LUC, usually remember light. Okay, lucent beam. Okay, so LUM, lume or LUC, luce, think light. Okay, all right. In spite of all our socialist proclamations all these years, the truth is that unearned income from the property, particularly capital gains from the appreciation of property, has outperformed income from any other source. Property prices have only gone one way up. Year after year, the rise is relentless. Each time one feels the limit must have been reached, property prices only rise. Further, result is the owning one's own home is distant dream for most middle class Indians. This phenomenon is not only confined to big metro cities, but inordinate price rises have swept through most smaller towns too. What does this mean? ఎక్కడ పెడితే అక్కడ జాగాల రేట్లు పెరిగిపోతున్నాయి. Yes, హర్ జగ land rates are going up. Okay. The rise is so phenomenal and the damage to the psyche so great that nobody believes that prices will ever come down. Even this day and age of free market economics, nobody believes that supply can ever exceed demand to bring prices down. Few within the country understand what's happening to the real estate market, and visitors from overseas describe the situation just as mad. Can I say this is a business passage? Yes. Okay. Truth is, it's a general passage. It's not business actually. Just because you see words like supply and demand, don't get lost in the thinking, yes, this is a business passage. Okay. Yeah, anyway, so what's he talking about from this point till this point? Okay. From this point till this point, he's just saying that people who are outside this country are unable to comprehend what's exactly happening. But people inside the country, for them, owning a house is a very big deal. It's almost like a dream. Has he segmented these people? Yes, he's told us about which segment that people belong to, middle class segment. Okay. Next, what does he say? The only reason for this horrendous state of affairs is a complete bungling by both the central government and state governments. Though the land is a state subject under the constitution, at the behest of the majority of states, Urban Land Ceiling Act was passed by Mrs. Gandhi. Who is this Mrs. Gandhi? It doesn't matter. That's the point. Okay. So Mrs. Gandhi, almost 20 years ago, this compounded the problem of rising urban land prices due to excessively rigid rent control laws by the state government. How many of you understood what happened over there? Yeah, what did you understand?
The land of other ones up here, and this land of all kind of state. And there is all the rest work are.
Okay, then check it out.
Because now the land part went into the civil list and for the civil part, actual land was before of state. But there was just something called urban ceiling act. Ceiling as in like the upper the design wall. So based upon that, there's sort of confidence over this.
So think about it like this. You have a land in this particular state. Your state government should decide what should happen to it ideally. But central government said, no, 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 even I want to decide because you are not able to decide properly. Then they made a Urban Land Ceiling Act. The moment you hear, like she said, seal and floor. Floor means the lower limit, seal means the upper limit. Okay. So what is happening under this Land Ceiling Act? We are trying to fix the upper limit of the cost of a land. But state government urkuntunda? No. State government is also calcifying the prices. because the thing is very rigid. There's not much space to maneuver amongst these two laws. The prices ka fluctuation is increasing. Okay. So simply put, even if you don't understand so much, because of the discrepancy between who should control the land rates, there's an inordinate increase in the land costs. ఆ మాత్రం అర్థమైతే చాలు. Okay. See, you have a bachelor's in commerce. Fine. So she understands it at that level. We don't need to understand it so much. The same way, last passage I told you about those 4 types of personality. That's because of my psychology background. But with or without knowing that, all you needed to know was the phlegmatic meaning, right? Same way here also. Okay. Right. The result is that it's virtually impossible to get tenants protected by the Rent Control Act to vacate premises. That means whatever the laws or whatever the states have put under Rent Control Act, maybe it's not very easy to get the tenants to vacate the houses. Why? Maybe the costs are low, or maybe they have given it for a longer tenure, whatever it might be. Okay. Therefore, transactions in lands are virtually frozen. When transaction lands do take place, several government permissions are needed, particularly under the Urban Land Ceiling Act, a huge cost in terms of money, usually illegal, and time. So basically, it's not so easy to move tenants out until a set of tenant moves out. New transaction cannot happen. In this case, what's transaction? Another new tenant taking up that house, or you selling that house to someone else. Now, if you're not able to sell it or move the tenant out, what will happen for the same rent or for like small rent increase? The same person will be staying. Correct? Where is the new place for the new person to stay? If someone else is coming, where is the new place? Then what will happen? Your demand will keep on increasing. Supply ekkadi nunchi undi? Those many houses are only there. People are not moving out, so supply is down. Naturally, when your demand is high and supply is down, your prices keep on increasing. Just you can think of it, even if you're not from economics background, you can think of it like this. There are only 3 bananas that I have. You are 30 people. Whom will I sell those 3 bananas to? Whoever pays me the highest money, no? So even if I start with 5 rupees, maybe you will say, okay, no, give it to me for 10 rupees. Obviously, for bananas, no one will say like that, but let's just assume. Okay, so like that, your price will keep on increasing. Now, where the government, what it has done, it has put Urban Land Ceiling Act. So what is that saying? Array, you cannot sell this banana for more than 8 rupees. Then what will Pranav come and do? Pranav will say, Array, it's okay. You take 8 rupees from me. You show everyone 8 rupees only. From back in your pocket, I'll put 20 rupees and walk out.
So what happens?
Yeah, I know. I'm just making it into a graphic history so that all of you can understand. Okay, so till this part, that's what's happening. So that is why the usually illegal money and time are being consumed. Okay. Obviously, if there is not enough supply, very little supply, there's even a little demand, price must go up inordinately. These are very simple laws of supply and demand are taught to students of economics in their first very lesson. The whole liberalization process is based on the avowed philosophy. What is this avowed philosophy? The moment we are seeing A, it should be opposite of vowed, no? No. Avowed means taking more of a vow. Okay. Taking that vow very seriously. This is not an opposite. See, please remember, A is not always an opposite. Only when A is taken as ab, we take that as the opposite. Ab means not present. Absent, the same thing. Okay. And A, that is the opposite. Okay, not in all contexts. Okay. Okay, which do not work and only distort markets. It's worked wonders with the economy, but the one area in which there's no sign of liberalization is real estate. Clearly, there can be no excuses for this. If liberalization as a policy is sound, then there is no reason why it should not work in the real estate market too. The truth is that worldwide, including major cities like London and New York, once rent control was abolished, there were major property booms, which led to oversupply and crash in prices. So basically what's he saying, maybe if we take off rent control, like in London and New York, here also we can see that the prices would come down. Why? Because the supply would increase. Okay. Surely the same thing can and must happen in Bombay and Delhi. Just what I explained to you, nothing else. The only excuse made for not abolishing controls in the field of real estate is that it may not be politically acceptable. This is why I told you, do not confuse this to be a economics RC. Okay, it's a very general. It's to be borderline politics and borderline economics. The distinction is not very clear in this RC. Okay. The question must be asked, politically acceptable to whom? It's only politicians who would lose a major source of revenue. It's high time that a vociferous demand is raised and politicians are forcefully told that it's astronomical real estate prices, very high real estate prices. That are not politically acceptable either. That means not only removing this Rent Control Act, but also these prices are not acceptable ani chepmantunaru. Did you all understand this passage? Yes. See, now this passage in a way was easy to go through. It was small. It was not very, very long. But I don't know why most of you have not attempted this. How many of you have not attempted this? Okay, what happened? Did you not like this passage? You didn't attempt this? Okay, you did not. Why? Nachaleda choice there. There was no time. All right, go ahead. See, I would always suggest choose shorter passages. Okay, long passage skim chesi మీరు చూడండి కానీ షార్ట్ ప్యాసేజెస్ ఈజీగానే ఉంటాయి మోస్ట్లీ. సరే, go on. Hey, this is a direct question. I don't think you need any time to answer this. Yes, what's the answer?
B, sir.
Obviously, this is going to be B. We saw that even though liberalization came, there was no change in prices, no? Yes? So did it have positive effect? No. Edo ఒక రోజు మారుతుంది అన్న hope? No. Caused much concentration for the unconscientious tenants? No. It did not change anything at all. So B is your straight away answer. Yes? Okay. Conscience. You're talking about this one, no? Unconscionable. Then consternation, caused too much consternation. The way I have taken it in this context is that they have change of heart. Okay. Are they making, just because liberalization came, are they like, having some kind of a change of heart to move out of things? Some kind of an external pressure on someone. Okay. Yeah. Again, this is also a very straightforward answer. Why did you not answer these questions? Why did you not take up this passage? Okay.
Sir, thought that I have never came across this such journal, sir.
Hurry, Aditra, this is okay, fine. For you, business is not done. No, next class is your business passages, no? Okay. All right, no problem. So, which batch's business is done over here? For you, it's done. Which batch are you in? 7? 7. Out in next class are they? Kangar Padam. 3, 5, and 6, no? You are in. Next class only that. Okay. Right. So for this is very clearly middle class Indians. Yes, he's clearly made the statement. I think somewhere in, yeah. Yes. Okay. You guys done? Yes? What's the answer? Were you confused between B and C, or could you eliminate B comfortably? You were confused? Yes? Okay. See, A and D we can very easily eliminate. Now, when it comes to B, we'll have to once go back here and, where was liberalization part? Somewhere over third paragraph only, no, it came. This part, okay, and we'll have to see. Now, what is happening over here, if you can see it, but the one area where there's no sign of liberalization is real estate. But before that, what about the other areas? They have actually done good work. It's worked wonders for the economy, in fact. That's what the statement is given. So we can say that it's become a largely unmixed blessing. Okay, what's an unmixed blessing? It's working at some places, but not every place. అన్నిటిని కలుపుకునే much it's not working, but in one place it's working very nicely. Okay, so from there we can understand B. But C is something that we cannot take it. When he's saying the politicians find themselves unable to amend the Rent Control Act, okay, would the author agree with this? No. Why? Because he is only saying that it's not politically acceptable. Okay, but for to whom? Is it for the politicians or for the people? He's not giving us the clarity. Okay, so if I'm saying that, see, the politicians find themselves unable to amend Rent Control Acts, we have to come down to the fourth passage, fourth paragraph. In fourth paragraph, you see the only excuse made for not abolishing this thing is that it may not be politically acceptable. Okay, so what is the author trying to say over there? He's not trying to say that the politicians don't want to, do that. He's saying that maybe the people won't accept it, maybe some other party won't accept it, something like that. He's not clearly stated that the politicians won't do it. I mean, second, if you see that this part, it is only the politicians who would lose major source of revenue. It's high time a vociferous demand is raised and politicians are forcefully told. Okay, the politicians need to be forcefully told. But are they themselves finding it as a change? Not really. So that is the one thing that we can take as an exception. Are we getting this? Yes, no? మీకు అర్థమైతే అర్థమైందని చెప్పండి, లేకపోతే లేదని చెప్పండి. మెల్లిమెల్లిగా చెప్తే వినిపించట్లేదు. तेरे मैं तेलुगु में बोलने से भी समझ में आ गया, मतलब बहुत अच्छे से बोला है. Yeah, what about this year? Which of the following best states the major source of income for the real estate market as stated by the author in the passage?
Option C, sir.
Okay. Answers? Yes, obviously capital appreciation as mentioned in the very first paragraph. Yes. Okay. Do we have time for any other passage? What's the time? 6:20. Okay. Should we do VA question or what? We'll do VA question. Yeah. Have you done this? How many of you have done this? Only 2 of you have done this. You have done this too. Okay. The rest of you can start this. You have done it? Okay. Good. Think we can do this and then stop. Yes, what's the answer? C. Okay. What's he saying? There's no escaping this basic truth. What is that basic truth that he's talking about? Challenges help us to grow. That's the basic truth. Normal process is to perceive a problem and then bring our emotional and thinking abilities to play in order to solve that problem. We can draw on our own legacy of experiences. Okay. Right, faced with the problem, we experience some anxiety. So basically, he's saying that yes, we need to face problems. Yes, anxiety is good. Anxiety helps us to solve the problem. It acts as a motivation for us to solve the problem. And the more the problems that we solve, the better we get at problem solving. Yes, that's what he's trying to say. Now, man's vast resource of abilities, experience, and relationship is often drawn on as problems become more daunting. Daunting means more challenging. Now, that's not what is actually happening. It's not that only if you have these experience and all, you'll get a challenging problem. What is happening? The more challenging problems you face, the next problem gets easier. You get better at dealing with it. That's what we have seen in the paragraph. So obviously, A is an out of scope choice. When we talk about B, challenges on the form the fabric of man's life, escape from them as delusion. True. This part is true. This part is an example that he has given, right? So naturally, this is a partial scope choice. Problems get less challenging in that they themselves condition a man. That means the man gets used to those problems. In dealing with them better, makes sense. That's exactly what we're getting. Problem solving is a process that is best learned from what? I don't know. So again, this becomes a partial scope choice. So your answer should be C. Is this clear? Yes? Okay. Yeah, please go on. We have time, no? Time, yeah, go on. Yes, are we done with this? Yes, no, yes, no. Yeah. So this was a pretty easy one to start off with. If you're looking at these four sentences, okay, actually, let's go through these four sentences. Hydrothermal hot springs. Hydro water, thermal heat. Okay, hot springs form in areas of geothermal activity where water is heated under the earth, either by shallow bodies of magma or by moving through fault systems deep in Earth's crust before rising to the surface. Basically, he's saying where or how does hydrothermal hot springs produce? Okay. As the water moves away from direct contact with the vent, it begins to cool and precipitate the ions dissolved within, forming mineral deposits. Now he's already talking about cooling. So clearly, 2 and 1 are not connected. Okay. These volcanic hot springs. Now, which volcanic hot springs? Probably the ones that were talked about before. Okay. Where before, we don't know. So these volcanic hot springs are all very rich in minerals such as native sulfur and jazzerite because heated water can hold far more dissolved cations and anions compared to cold water. Fair enough. Did he tell us where it's heated, how it's heated, or anything? No. So here it might form a hot lake or steam or a slow boiling mud pool, or it could form a geyser that erupts hot water and steam at regular intervals. So now I can understand that this part here, it might form a hot lake or stream is connected with one, where why? Because we are talking about the locations and then we are talking about what kind of thing is happening in that location. That's the cause and effect over there for us. So one comes, no, four comes and joins after the first one. And one is the most, what do you say, generic statement because it's kind of defining what are hydrothermal hot springs. Correct. So naturally, all of you placed one first. Yes, good. So one will be the generic statement. Four attaches itself. Now that we have seen 1, 2, 3 types of different things, we cannot use this anymore. We have to use these. So the pronoun these will be of multiple nature, multiple subjects in nature, which is in 4. So I'm connecting 3 after 4. So my answer should be 1, 4, 3, and 2. Okay. So what are the rules I've used? Cause and effect and pronouns. Only by using cause and effect and pronouns, we can answer this. Okay. Easy enough. All right. That's all for today then. We have left 2 passages and 4, 5 questions. No? Yes, Andy? If you have not done that, do those again and get back to me. Okay. Tomorrow, who all have the appointment with me? None of you in this class? Okay, good.